We don't have to. Their proposal on page 1 states that it will be a hotel. But if they sell it, it could become any type of transient lodging. 509 FS does not define this issue to my satisfaction and cannot be used as a definition for the applied changes. The density of 99 units on that small property is, in my opinion, an onerous burden on the community. There are currently 58 grandfathered units, which is still over current per acre limits. Let me finish what I have to say. I haven't interrupted anybody else. What would be the effect of the traffic almost doubling from a 40-foot frontage lot coupled with ingress and egress from the buildings to the north and south of it with 4 drives in close proximity? It is possible to build a 6-story condominium on that lot, which would comply with current standards. We are not denying them the right to build. However, having said that, if that condominium were instead to be a 6+2-story hotel with amenities for the residents of South Palm Beach and complying with current density standards, I would be more inclined to want to re-examine the issue. In my opinion, only parts of the Treasure Coast letter were presented in the packet. I believe the Treasure Coast also questioned the density issue and had further concerns. The working waterfront issue is a non-starter for this application, as a hotel with beachfront does in no way meet any definition of working waterfront. A working waterfront is a port or waterfront area with dockage for fishing and or cruise and or pleasure boats. It may include a hotel with docks, but no one in their right mind would build docks on ocean frontage. And the artistic rendering presented with this application is pure fantasy and not drawn to scale, even with the written revisions below. It does not show the stated 10-foot setbacks, which would be 20 feet from the building south and north of the proposed end. My question is, what would the wind tunnel effect be between the buildings in the event of a hurricane? My conclusion is that the application does not comply with current standards and that the planning board should not approve the application before it on this date, and further recommend the town council also not approve. As an addendum, I would like to add the papers that were included in our, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if anybody has any questions, I'll be welcome to answer them. Be happy to.
I would have hoped that you would have asked your questions sooner and one at a time so I can respond to each one. I did hear the word timeshare in there.
Well, I see here that it says, however, it says, neither this comprehensive plan nor land development code will limit the effect or sale of or type of ownership, redeveloped hotel use, or the individual rooms therein. So, and then you cite chapter F09FS, which I replied to.
Member Festino, you took issue earlier when I asked you if you were clear that what we were proposing was not a timeshare. At that time, you said that you were perfectly clear.
I didn't say anything at that
Obviously, you were not. Because your town attorney explained to you that not only are we not proposing a timeshare, but a timeshare is strictly prohibited by the very application before you.
No, it isn't. Not according to the way I read it.
Why don't one of you ask your town attorney?
I am set, no, it's not about the town attorney. It says,
Yes, it is.
neither the comprehensive plan nor the land development code will limit or affect the sale of, or, I'm reading the document right now.
Read it and understand it,
Or-
it's two different things.
Type of ownership of the redeveloped hotel use or the individual rooms therein. And then it says here, time sharing or individual ownership is prohibited, which is great. But then it says, it indicates that when the building is sold, or if it is sold, you will comply with the standards set forth in Chapter F09 FS, which also includes any type of transient lodging, right. Thank you.
First off, a hotel is transient.
Well, we know that.
There's no question about that. Second off, are you still insisting that what we're proposing is a timeshare?
No, I actually sat down.
So why did you say at the beginning that you weren't sure if what we were proposing was a timeshare?
No, I didn't say that.
You began your statement by questioning whether this was a timeshare or not. You refused to ask your town attorney for his legal opinion,
Wait.
and you sound confused.
I am not in the least confused. I think you are, sir. Let me.
Let Ms. Festina.
Do you want me to reiterate what I just said?
What's your conclusion from what you just read?
Peter, let
My conclusion is that, as it said, it has to meet the requirements of a transient public lodging establishment when the property is sold, as set forth at Chapter 509 FS. 509 FS is the definition of transient lodging. I understand that you're proposing a hotel. I figured out about 3 years ago that the only way you could actually make money on this is by turning it into a timeshare.
Oh my God.
And, well, I
What,
spent several years in real estate, and I figured out your square footage and,
what analysis do you have to prove that, that the only
I don't have any.
that the only viable business plan for this would be a timeshare?
At the time, I thought so. Now, it doesn't make any difference. You know, what's the difference between a timeshare and a hotel, but you're not saying, absolutely, this is what it's gonna be. And it doesn't really matter. So, at this point.
But
That's
your
very enough
statement-
said right
Your
there.
statement is false. The
Okay.
application before you can't be clear enough. And if you have any doubt, you shouldn't be reluctant to ask your town attorney.
Okay, Brad, let's hear your opinion. I am not reluctant.
No,
You said no.
what they say is that the sale, when you said that, that's true. Neither the comp plan nor the land development code will limit the effect of the sale or type of ownership of the redeveloped hotel use. But then they further restrict it, and they do say time sharing and interval ownership is prohibited. So whoever would buy that property would be prohibited from having timeshare or interval ownership. But that's also condominium hotel ownership is available to them. So condominium hotel
Yeah.
ownership has some sort of transit idea with it, and it's 3 months and whatever. So you still have, you know, you can call something the same thing, but under state law, one is going to be prohibited if that's the kind of license they've gone for. The other one looks a lot like it, but it's not under state law.
And these are governed by
And
state
it's
law.
governed under Chapter 509.
Okay.
But essentially, you're right. I mean, ultimately, there could be some sort of transit lodging other than time sharing and interval ownership that could be approved under 509 that's going to be a little different than a hotel.
But Mr. Biggs, timeshares are strictly prohibited.
I noticed,
That's what you've written.
actually, I noticed the same thing, that though this is it's not an application, but it's an application that would allow only a hotel. It does refer afterwards to the transient lodging, and it refers to a condominium hotel. Now, one thing I wanted to ask Peter is this. Since this is an application in any case that would allow anyone to do what is proposed in these amendments. It is not specifically something that Kosovo is planning, and we knew that on the application in 2009. But they do at the end, on the last 2 pages of the application, they actually have 2 artist illustrations to show what the construction could look like, and using the one that they, an adaptation of the one they used in their first application. Incidentally, the second one that shows a back view of what they were thinking of then seems to have eliminated the Tuscany next door, which actually has a seawall that runs alongside and is gone. There are palm trees and things there anyway. But what I want to ask Peter is this. If in fact you went ahead and wanted to construct a hotel, it's just a hotel, not a condominium hotel, there will be no sale. And in the earlier on in applications, you mentioned that the thing would be largely financed or part financed by